When you see the whole world shaking and you feel your heart is breaking, take my hand, no hesitating. Oh, when you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel this, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel this, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Hello. Oh, my secondary text didn't show up. I'm sorry. Let me just type this up. I had a crazy day today, so okay. Let me just finish that up, and voila! There's my caption for today: selling in the seller's market. Hello. My name is Chris Gajulo. I'm an associate broker for eXp Realty, and this is Real Estate with Mr. G, our weekly live stream podcast. And I will also be uploading these to Spotify. Okay, a lot of things going on, but it's I'm recording earlier. Today. It's not really 7 p.m. on Saturday. It's actually about 3:20 because my son and I are going to wrestling. It's independent wrestling. It's local wrestling, and we enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and we know a lot of people there, and that's why I'm recording now. All right, so I'm not live. Okay, I'm doing this a little bit earlier. Full disclosure. But I had a good week. I had a closing. We had to work out some spots on it. Or there's always, again, I've said this many times. When the deal goes perfectly, I get actually more nervous. There's always like a little stumbling block in it. The buyer was a first-time home buyer. They were going with the VHDA program, which is 100% financing, and they also were able to get a grant for their down payment. So actually, I think they used it for the closing cost. So there's a lot of good programs out there, and you could call me or contact me about that, as well as if you're 100% ready to look at homes. We could do that. We would want you to be first, to be pre-qualified first. And that's a whole other topic. We talked about mortgages last week, and how they're rising and how to deal with it, what things you could do to perhaps not have such a big monthly mortgage payment. But with the the start now of the rates increasing, an old product is coming back, and that's called an adjustable rate mortgage. And we're going to talk about how that works. They are becoming, I won't say they're 100% popular right now. They're being inquired about because of rates going up. So we'll talk about that in our segment as well. All right. Well, the other thing I want to bring up as well, I told you last week the scams that were going on with my sale, and someone was saying it was for rent, a scammer, and they really, really went into detail, and they said they were a deaf male, and this person's wife was dying of leukemia, and they had to move to. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And usually, first of all, the price was too good on the property, right? It was a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath for $800. You're not going to get that anymore, unless it's falling down. All right, you're not going to get a 3-bedroom, 2 full baths for $800. So that's the big sign that it might be fake. And then all these other things that they need to sell this fast. That there was a sale, which was my sale. That's how they got the pictures of the townhouse. And then they said we decided to rent it out, and there are things there should be cues there that it's a scam. Besides the unbelievable price, but that you're not able to see the interior. They ask for money up front, like a 1 month security or 1 month's rent, and without you even seeing the property. These are all red flags that you should not follow through and send out money. Okay, so please be aware of that. And unfortunately, there's so many scams going on now, so be very, very careful. If it seems too good to be true, or they're pushing you to send a large amount of money, not just like an application fee, but 1 month's rent, then you really have to consider that. Okay, so let's do our little introduction, and we'll go right into the heart of the matter. So this was based upon a article on my blog this week, talking about selling in a seller's market, and it's been a seller's market for a while, and I myself have been discussing this for probably about 2 years now. But I guess perhaps if you're just entering the market right now, will determine what is a seller's market, so you understand what's going on. Now, one of the reasons why we have a seller's market is because the demand for homes is much greater than the supply of homes. Now, let's look at the supply of homes first. Why do we have such a low inventory? Well, for the last 2 years, people were nervous about potential buyers walking through their homes during COVID-19 and spreading the virus. Um, in the instances where the seller has already moved out of the home and to their new property, it's not such of a big concern. But when they're still living there, they really don't want a lot of people walking through. So people who had thought about putting their house on the market held back from doing it because of that reason. And probably not so sure where the economy was going to go as we were at the very beginning of the pandemic, and what's going to happen with the U.S. economy. So there was a lot of uh, anxieties involved, especially when for people to show their homes. Now, with Dr. Fauci, if you, I mean, I believe he's a good man. I trust what he says. And he says we're coming out of the pandemic. If you had those worries before, I believe it's okay now to put your house on the market. If that was the reason you were not putting it on the market, we seem to have it under control, the pandemic or the COVID-19, with the two shots, the booster, and now a second booster. And actually medicine to take in case you get COVID-19 that really keeps it from becoming a major issue, disease that you might be sick for a couple of days and that's it. So hoping with that we will see more homes going on the market this spring and summer. Let me get to my caption here. And on the other side, with demand, what was interesting is that, yes, there were people who were laid off from work, or let's say they weren't laid off, they were actually, laid off, right, with the hopes of maybe going back. So, but usually that was in the areas of people who were on just entering the workforce, or just entering, starting. It wasn't the middle or upper management, and middle and upper management were able to still work and work at home, and not go in every day to the office, or just work the whole time from their home office. So they still had their incomes, and now with not being able to go anywhere, right, not able to travel on a vacation that they might have spent $10,000 on, or going to shows, or going to sport events, or going to concerts, right, restaurants. And when they were not doing this, they were accumulating more money, right, because they weren't spending it. So the money that they used to, for summer vacations or traveling, or going to shows and stuff, they weren't using it. So they had extra money. So, well, the interest rates are really low. I got a whole heck of a lot of money. So I'll buy a new home. I'll buy a bigger home, or I've been always living in a rental. Now it's time to purchase a home. And we had a very strong demand with little supply. And that's a basic economic principle. When you have a strong demand and little supply, prices go up. So I'm going to highlight some areas there. Even if you haven't been following real estate news, you're likely heard about the current seller's market. That's because there's a lot of talk about how strong the market conditions are for people who want to sell their homes. But if you think about listing your home, you probably want to know, what does being in the seller's market mean? Okay. Well, one thing is that there's only a 2-month supply of homes at the current sales pace. Okay. So basically, as soon as you get your home on the market, and it takes maybe 30 or 35 days to close, right? They're closing, they're going off like under 60 days. So it's only a 2 month of supply of homes at the current pace of people purchasing. This chart over here explains a different type of market. So when you have less than a 6 month supply, right, it is a seller's market. Okay, can I throw around that? Yeah. Right? Less than 6 months seller's market, and home prices will appreciate. If we are between 6 to 7 months, we have what's called a neutral market. Home prices will only appreciate with inflation. All right? It's not because of a short of homes. But when we have homes on the market for more than 7 months, and because it's this orange, it's not going to really hit up that well, home prices will then begin to depreciate. But what we have right now is truly a seller's market. And because of that, we have what's called bidding wars, where people, and you might have for one property 3 or 4 buyers who want to put an offer in. Excuse me, my throat is very dry today. And what they may do, from the seller side, you will ask for highs and bests, and highs and bests doesn't always mean the more expensive offer. It depending on what they're asking for in return. If the buyer is asking for closing cost, and his price is higher than another one, it still may not be the best, because if the other buyer, who's maybe asking a little bit less, but not asking for any closing costs, that might be the stronger offer. All right, you give you more rate in return. And then sometimes people, when I say people, I should say the seller, may take an offer where it might be a little bit less, but they may not ask for a home inspection, or they would ask for home inspection, but only for informational purposes. Meaning, even if they find things wrong with it, the buyer, because now they've accumulated all this wealth, because for the last 2 years they did not go anywhere, they will take care of the repairs. All right. So they'll just do the home inspection, and we always recommend, me meaning realtors, real estate agents, do the home inspection, even if you do it for informational purposes. That means you just want to make sure that the house is not falling down, that there's not so many things wrong with it that it's a money pit. You're going to be spending tens, $20,000, fixing it up to become livable. All right. So you really have to look at your situation. All right. One of my sellers, they pay down the mortgage a lot. And they had a renter in there who, for the last year, didn't pay anything. They lost money. They just wanted to get out of it. And they didn't want to have to, for instance, in this case, we actually did a home inspection. We put it online. We put it on the listing. And we told the potential buyer what we actually repaired. And so we had a buyer who said, okay, I'll just go with your home inspection. I'm not going to run my other. So there's no contingency after the ratification of the contract. Okay, we ratify contract, we have a meeting of minds, but we may have a home inspection contingencies that we're going to do the home inspection. And if it's really stinky, we're going to withdraw from it. All right. But once we take off that contingency, once it's ratified, it's really straight to home base. Then the buyer is just doing what he or she has to do with their loan officer, getting the final approval, and the seller doesn't have to worry about any type of repairs or anything like that. All right, so it's really a case by case situation for the seller. What offer truly is the best? Now, what's happening here too is the mortgage rate, right? Mortgage rates are definitely going up. I believe they just went down a bit towards the end of the week because the market went down really far. All right, but it's not like it's going to go down to 3% as it was before. So with mortgage rates and home prices going up, serious buyers are motivated to make their purchase soon before those two things rise further. That means if you put your house on the market while supply is still low, it will likely get a lot of attention from competitive buyers. So the other key point there is that if you're thinking about selling it, please do it now, all right? Even with the chance that home prices will still go up by the end of the year, and some people predict, 3 to 5%. Some are still seeing it as it going really big. I don't think it's going to go that big anymore because it was unbelievable last year, all right? But what happens as mortgage rates go up, the pool of potential buyers go down, right? Because now they can no longer afford that house because the higher it goes, it gets out of their eligibility status, right? So if they're able to afford a house up to $200,000, but now it's worth $210,000, now they could no longer afford it. So it's best to make your money now, okay? Where again you have more buyers in the market than as these rates go up. A lot of people probably will drop out as mortgage rates go up. Okay, there's some people who just buy when they get a great deal. In this case, in real estate, it's low mortgage rates. But once it goes back up, they said, okay, I'll stay in my new house. I'll still rent for a while, and we'll see what happens. Now, I told you I would talk about the adjustable rate mortgage demand doubles as interest rates hit the highs in 2009. Now, this was on CNBC. Yeah. And I may post it to my blog with, some of it and then a link to the article on CNBC. But besides reading all about this, let me just go quickly over adjustable rate mortgage and what it is. So let's say right now we're at 5%, and we are, right? And adjustable rate mortgage might originally start out at 2%. All right. So you're going to have, of course, a much lower mortgage than someone who's getting a fixed rate of 5%. But what happens, it creeps up. And they'll give you a gap. They might say, well, it only could go 5 points. So it could go from 2% to 7%. And it goes in different increments. So maybe after 2 years, your 2% is 3%. And it'll be detailed in the mortgage when it goes up. Now, this makes sense if you are thinking that you may not stay in the house for a long term. You may be in the military, and you may be sent to another location in 4 to 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, and you might then sell the house. So why pay a mortgage at 5% when you could get it at 2%? Okay. Or in your situation, you're saying, well, this is my starter home. I have a brand new family. I have one child right now, but we're probably going to have another child. And eventually, about 5 or 6 years down the road, we want a bigger house. An adjustable rate mortgage would make sense. All right. Because you don't want to be paying 7% when a lot of people are just paying 5%. So again, see how I'm just looking at this point over here. ARMs, or adjustable rate mortgage, can be fixed for terms like 5 or 7 or 10 years, but they do adjust once the term is up and up to the current market rate. So they are considered slightly riskier than the 30-year fix. So again, it all depends how the loan is written, and you have to deal with your mortgage loan officer on that. But it works well if you decide not to keep the house for a long period of time. All right. And you're ahead of the game because, if it stays below 5% for your 5 years that you live there, you're ahead of the game. You had a low mortgage payment. And then if you think you're going to sell it in 5 years, you have a good deal. All right. So like I say with I don't want to be on more than 30 minutes. I'm going to show you just a little, let me make sure I have the right one, a little video on, I think it's buyers are lining up to make an offer in today's housing market. This goes hand in hand on our topic today. So again, what that's saying is that there are many buyers for your house. It's not as crazy again as it was about a year ago with mortgage rates going up. So instead of having 10 to 12 offers, we have about 4 or 5. On the last one I sold, I had 7 offers. So it was still a lot, But with the rates going up, it's cooling down a bit. One more thing I wanted to add, this came up to on my blog. When you're getting ready to sell, they talk about curb appeal, how important that is. And so 78% of real estate agents have said landscaping affects your property values. And they're talking about what I got to do. I have to look at my. This one's hard to see. Okay. First impressions matter when you are getting ready to sell a house. Your home's curb appeal can help you earn top dollar, or it can send buyers running for the hills. So they say small updates can do a long way. Trim and shape any hedges or trees. Power wash, stain, or paint the deck. Remove any dead branches. Put down new mulch. Keep the lawn tidy. Put a couple of flowers around the house and stuff like that. So that's a little plus there, okay, of what to do. All right, let me get back to my page here, and let's take this down. So I'm hearing from my producer, William, that we may have a special, I guess there's some sort of singing group in the audience today.
Great news. We have 5 celebrity musicians in the audience. Coming out of Lou Prima's band in the early 1950s, they developed a one-of-a-kind novelty act, playing their instruments while on pogo sticks or hanging upside down from a trapeze. Their musical style was swing, bebop, often with all 5 members singing, harmonizing together. Ladies and gentlemen, the Goofers.
The Goofers, I think I remember them from the Ed Sullivan Show. Well, it's good to see them again and for them to stop by. All right, next week, if everything goes well, I'll have some segments from the Buckrow farmers market. It starts again May 7th. Going to go down there with the missus. I'll do some videotaping. I think William will be there, and I may, if there's enough people, take questions from the shoppers there if they have any questions about real estate. So that will be next Saturday, May 7th, and I hope you have a very good week. The weather's going to be warming up, so hopefully we're getting into springtime. And be kind to each other. And remember, the greatest power we have is to love, and the greatest gift, each other. So I'll see you next week.